Hi everyone, I want to talk about something a little bit different today, especially after my counselling appointment, which is very real and very dramatic. So I want to go the opposite way and talk about um, possible comic adaptations, and specifically ones that are R18 or quite controversial or risky subject matters to produce, because now that we live in a post Superman versus Batman, Superman v Batman, and a post Deadpool world, it's kind of like there's a whole bunch of comics that could be made now, could be adapted, and it's kind of proven now. They've proved that these adaptations will make money. So I thought of the comics that I really loved when I was collecting comics, which was years ago, and I've got some of them here to show you, and I just wanted to talk about the potential. So one comic that could really do with a film adaptation that's quite an adult comic is Sandman, the Sandman comics. Now Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he was actually starting a Sandman project, and I think it's still going, but he's dropped out of the project through artistic differences. So I'm not sure what's happening with that yet, but that is definitely a adult comic. It's not for kids, and I was introduced to the Sandman comic when I was living in Bondi with my girlfriend at the time, and I just consumed those comics. They're just amazing comics, really well written, beautifully illustrated, and they're works of art, and it would be lovely to see them. I thought about doing a play based on it, and I was shot down quite quickly by DC for even suggesting that. So they're really tied up in the intellectual property of them. But I think it's time, and hopefully they do justice with this movie that's coming out. It's a little bit worrying when the person who was sort of driving it has left the production. But Sandman, that definitely deserves a reboot, and definitely could work on the big screen. And along with the Sandman, I was introduced to another comic that's very similar to the Sandman. Let's see if I can find the title comics. And that is, I've got one over here, Shade the Changing Man. Another amazing comic, really incredible storyline. The covers are just brilliant on these. Here's another cover. So the cover artwork is incredible. The story is really fascinating. Basically, it's almost a it is a love triangle, really. The whole story is revolving around a love triangle about an alien that's possessed the body of a serial killer. I think that was basically it. It's been a while since I've read these comics, and his love interest and her love interest, which is another woman. So it was definitely an interesting storyline. It kept me busy on those late nights in Bondi where I couldn't sleep because it was too hot. This is a great comic, really well worth checking out. So I think that one is another one that could do really well on the big screen. So what about some other sort of more obvious contenders? So we talked about Sandman. Now I know this one's already been on the big screen, but I reckon they could redo this one as well. And this was, again, just a really influential comic on me. You know, I was a real horror fan, so this is a crossover between horror and comic, and that was the Swamp Thing. And I know that they've already done Swamp Thing, but they've not done it justice yet, and it'd be great to see it done well. So the Swamp Thing, look, this is, I think, is that the back cover? Yeah, that's the back cover. This is the front cover for this comic. It's a classic comic. I love this comic. With the Unmen and is it Dr. Arcane? I can't quite remember his name. Actually, I need to read these comics. My memory's going a little bit in my 40s. But yeah, that's another one that could really, make a great R18 level movie. And another potential comic series that could do really well, you know, as a R18 adaptation. And this, I was reminded about these comics by Kevin Smith the other day when he was talking about Deadpool and the Deadpool sequels. But yeah, Lobo. Lobo would make a great R18 feature film comic adaptation. I think it's time we saw Lobo on the big screen. He is another really, really cool character. This is quite an interesting series. Infant Side, where basically he's fighting a whole bunch of illegitimate children he's had throughout the universe. It's, again, really funny, but incredibly violent. So, I mean, you know, that's Deadpool. That's what made Deadpool so good. So, Lobo's definitely one that they should consider. And kind of fairly similar to Lobo is the Trencher comics. Even artistically, I think they're very similar. I'm not sure who wrote them or what the relationship is, but they were, you know, they're kind of like the cheap little brother of Lobo. But I think Trencher could do really well. So what else have we got here? Another comic that I thought could do really well is a spin-off of the Tick called Man-Eating Cow. I reckon Man-Eating Cow would also, another really funny comic, just hilarious comic. I won't, you know, just like the Tick, it's quite classic. If you get a chance to check out Man-Eating Cow, I suggest you have a read. If you like the Tick, you'll love Man-Eating Cow. So now we're getting to this one. I was introduced to this one by my birth dad, and I hardly ever related to him on anything, but this I really liked. And this is kind of a stoner comic, and this inspired my character Leroy Superfly to a lot of an extent. And that's Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers, which would also make a really good adult comic adaptation for the big screen. Very Cheech and Chong kind of storylines, but again, way to the extreme. Lots of violence, lots of intense drug taking and hallucinations and sex, and you know, not for kids. Definitely not for kids, but you know, it could be cool on the big screen. So I'm almost coming to the end of my little pile here. I know there's more that would be, you know, have potential. But this one I always loved. Evil Ernie. Evil Ernie would make a great feature film. I don't know why it hasn't been done already. You know, maybe it has and I just haven't seen it. But these things, they need to be honoured. And Evil Ernie is just crazy. It's basically a serial killing teenager who's brought back to life by Lady Death to continue in his evil works. And it's a kind of a love story almost between Evil Ernie and Lady Death. These days, you know, with The Walking Dead and all that kind of stuff, I think having a zombie serial killing anti-hero, it's time for that. And the last one on my little pile of list, I'm sure I could pull out more in my pile of comics, but that then again, this has already been done before, but not really been done well. It was alright, but because of the limitations, because they couldn't be too hardcore with it, they couldn't really do it justice. And this is the back of the shelf stuff, this comic. You couldn't just walk up and grab it from the shelf. You had to ask for them to take it down. Often it was, you know, it was sort of hidden so you couldn't see the covers, and that's Faust. Now Faust is so hardcore I couldn't even show you the inside cover here. There's a cover within a cover. I can't show you that cover because it's too extreme, and I'll have to change my you know, general audience kind of setting for this video in order to show you that. But Faust again wasn't done so well when it was done. It was done, I think it was done in the late 90s. But it's a comic that could really do with a feature film adaptation, and I think it would do really well in this post-Deadpool world that we live in.
Thanks for watching this Nocturnal Customs Limited production. Find us and give us a like on Facebook, and be sure to follow us on Twitter for more posts, videos and updates. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube where we will be bringing you more regular content on filmmaking, animation, my original music, the occasional cover song, as well as more of our feature project releases as they happen. You can find out more information about us on nocturnal3d.com or contact me directly by emailing visualnz@gmail.com. If you like, you can also follow or contact us on Twitter, where we regularly post as Nocturnal NZ, or you can keep in contact by giving us a like on Facebook at Nocturnal Customs.